Hi everyone! For those who don't know or maybe haven't been here before, my name is Rebecca and I'm the co-founder of You Are Collective. So at You Are Collective, we really aim to share our stories, share our experiences to help end the stigma around mental health and make sure that we know people are not alone when they're going through their own journeys. So recently, I weaned off of my antidepressants after almost 1 full year to the day. And I thought it was a journey that needed some attention and that I think a lot of people could resonate with. So when I shared about it, I had lots of questions flood in. So I'll try and make this video kind of as succinct as possible. But if any questions pop up for you, please put them in the comments below, or you can DM us to keep it a little more private or anonymous if you don't want your name on it. So I thought I would start by just kind of sharing the brief overview of my antidepressant history so far. So I've made some notes because it's been special. So why did I start taking antidepressants in the first place? Well, probably in November, December 2019, I felt like I was going through one of the worst pieces of my mental health journey that I had been through so far. I was super isolated. I was isolating myself. I was removing myself from community, from connection. I was having really low self-worth. I was having suicidal thoughts, self-harm tendencies, and this wasn't necessarily something that I had always gone through, but anxiety and depression were always something that were sitting on my back, so to speak. So I've been in counseling. I was in counseling at the time, and it just didn't feel like it was enough. I wasn't feeling like I was safe in my body and within my own space, and so I wanted to add something new to the mix. And I sat down with my doctor, my general practitioner, and we decided to start the antidepressant journey. So on December 13th of 2019, I started my first antidepressant, which was Cipralex, and that lasted a couple months, maybe. We added mirtazapine in there for sleep, and I was just realizing that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. So if you don't know, antidepressants take about 4 to 6 weeks to set in, so it's not like you can just try it for a week and then, oh well, it didn't do anything, or oh, it's doing so great. So it's a long journey to even start one pill and see how it's working. So I tried to be as on top of like marking down my symptoms and side effects and things as I could, and it just came to a point where it wasn't doing what I had hoped it would be doing. The mirtazapine was basically, it was for sleep, and it knocked me out like for the entire day. So I was completely incoherent if I took this. So after a few months of that, I was going to the doctor like almost, I think every 3 weeks to make sure that everything was okay and all good while I was taking these antidepressants. I was still doing counseling during this, one-on-one psychotherapy. But the Cipralex and mirtazapine weren't cutting it. So we switched and did sertraline and Seroquel for sleep. You can read kind of all about this in my journey to a healthier well-being. It's part number 4. I really break down like the days and everything that happened with my past antidepressants. Eventually that wasn't really doing what we wanted it to do either. So I went on to Effexor. And with all of those, we tried various doses. So it wasn't just like I tried sertraline at 12 milligrams and then that didn't do anything. And so we switched. We would up the dose to kind of the maximum we could. And if it wasn't doing anything, that's when we moved on. And again, after like weeks and weeks and weeks of being on it, not just a day. Eventually, so I ended up on Effexor. And I ended up on one of the highest doses, if not one of the highest, 225 milligrams. And by the end of the summer 2020 at this point, I was feeling like a zombie. I was angry, I was irritable, I didn't really have anything to me. Michael and I were not doing super well. I wasn't doing super well. And it was just a really, really hard time. And I was starting to feel more and more like this antidepressant was holding me there. And so I actually, I booked an appointment with my doctor. And before I did, I started to wean down because I did have other dosages of the Effexor. Except I thought I was weaning down to the 150, which would have been my next level. And this is why you do it doctor supervised, because I actually went straight down to 75 milligrams from 225. So if you haven't weaned off or come off of an antidepressant before, there are withdrawal symptoms that go along with it. So going down to the 75, I don't think I noticed a ton, but in like the withdrawal symptoms, but it wasn't a great time. So talked to my doctor, told her kind of what was up, and her suggestion was that we look into some more help. So she referred me to a psychiatrist. And again, I've documented this in a blog as well, so please feel free to go to our community blogs on yourcollective.ca, and you can read about my first psychiatry appointment and how I got there, because it was covered and it was all done through Interior Health. So basically, once I got this appointment, I wanted to work with the psychiatrist to see if there was a better medication that I could be on, maybe a better dosage, or maybe medication wasn't the route for me. So because I was very new to the psychiatrist, she wanted to start at a baseline because it had been a year, I'd been trying all sorts of different things, and so our plan of action was to wean completely off of the antidepressant, see where I was sitting, and then go from there. So the intention was not necessarily to wean off permanently, it was just to get back to where is my normal? And we did that. So as of December 8th, 2020, I officially was weaned off of my Effexor. We did it over a period of time. I don't want to share that with you because I think it's different for everyone, and I really, really hope that you would go seek professional help and talk to your doctor or your psychiatrist or your medical and mental health supports before you do, just to make sure all your ducks are in a row. And coming off of antidepressants is no joke. They are in your system and they are changing your mood, your hormone balances, your everything. And so coming off of it was not super easy. The weaning off journey, I want to kind of talk about the side effects. So some people had questions like, how are you doing? How are you feeling right now? Which, thank you. The first little bit was tough. So I was still having sleep problems. I was sweating in the night. I would wake up like every few hours, cold sweats, shaking, like you have no control over it. It's super uncomfortable. I was really foggy. My thoughts felt really scrambled. Sweating a lot, sleeping problems. The shaking was really difficult, nauseous, barely any appetite, if there was any appetite, and a lot of anxiety around that. I mean, you're coming off of something that has basically been supporting your mental health, and so it's scary too, right? So the first 2 weeks of being completely off an antidepressant was pretty miserable, I'm not gonna lie. I strung together the days though, and by the 23rd of December, so almost 2 weeks later, I was starting to feel like I could do this. I was starting to feel a little bit more like myself, starting to feel like I kind of had some shit together. And I was still, again, following up with my psychiatrist, following up with my doctor, having regular counseling appointments, actually even more regular. She was super helpful and supportive and wanted to make sure that I felt supported during that journey. So, I made sure that I was surrounded by supports. Not only that, but I told the people around me what was happening. So Michael knew, my family knew, any friends that would come around were aware, because you can kind of feel like a completely different person, and you're almost transitioning into your new normal, your old normal, who knows? And so I felt like the people around me would be the best supports, and if I couldn't be transparent with them and share with them what was going on, then there was no way for them to be there for me. So I felt it was really important to make sure that I was surrounded by whatever supports I could be. Our How to Care For worksheet was filled out, so Michael knew what to look for, what to keep an eye out for, what to help me with. I'm very well versed in my crisis lines and my online resources. So again, just making sure those are right in front of your face when you're going through things like that. And then I was about to make that video kind of like right in the thick of it. And I was like, you know what? There's a lot that's going to happen still. There's a lot still to do with this transition. And so I waited a while and here we are. But a month and a half later, I am still off of antidepressants. I haven't gone back on any. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling a lot more in control of my depression symptoms, a lot more in control of any suicidal or self-harm thoughts. In fact, they're very sparingly happening. The one thing I have noticed that the antidepressant must have been helping with is my anxiety and my intrusive thoughts. So I have been diagnosed with OCD and generalized anxiety disorder, and those are kind of basically different panic and anxiety disorders. And so those were kind of the biggest things that were top of mind that my antidepressant was helping with that I didn't realize. So those things I'm really keeping an eye on. I've shared this with my doctor, and I'm hoping to be sharing this with my psychiatrist as well, just to see if there's anything that we can do, or maybe there's some more mental health or counseling opportunities that I can look into. Whatever is going to work for me is what's going to work best for me. So that's kind of the really quick gist of weaning off antidepressants, why I did, how it felt, and how it's been feeling, and we'll see where it goes from here. So I'm obviously a pretty open book. If I didn't answer your question, or if you have other questions, again, please drop them in the comments below. I'll do my very best to answer them. I will answer from experience. I'm not a medical professional, but I will answer based on how I felt or how I've gone through things, and hopefully that will help or resonate with you. Or if you don't want to put it in the comments below, you can email us, or you can send a message in our DMs. And if the comments like go nuts or something, then I might make a totally different video. And hoping to put this in a blog as well, because I know that sometimes video isn't the best format for people. So hopefully this answered your questions. I'm doing well. I'm surrounded by a lot of my supports and mental health supports. My depression is doing really well, all things considered. It's just the anxiety that we need to work on, and that can maybe be helped with some more self-care and self-discovery. So looking forward to some more journey ahead and to keep you updated along the way. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. And if you are working on your mental health journey, you're incredible. You deserve everything. You are worthy. And I hope that you get the solutions and the support that you deserve.